Now prepare to rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's a brand new day. Now prepare to experience the most outrageous man on radio.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
This is insane.
Good morning! Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
Thank you. This show would have been on the road a little while ago. I'm waiting. I'm actually still going to have to leave and grab the rest of my coffee.
Science.
Yeah. Science has been failing me. My coffee machine I tried something different and it's like trickling out there. It's just not working the way it should be.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Anyway, I'm running low on coffee, so I had to experiment. The experiment failed. Be Nice is the title card, as you can see. And is it really that hard to just chill? And I put in the first chat under my ROCKFLUX name. Too much ego and no enough live and let live. I'm going to have to delete that. Let me just do this so I don't have to recopy the whole thing. You can't edit. Yeah. You know, that's the whole thing about a lot of this internet stuff. I think that's that thing Elon Musk, even though I was getting down on his case the other day, on several days, is that they're so afraid of people editing their stuff. Anyway, too much ego and not enough live and let live. And so it looks like I removed chat for some other reason other than just a typographical error. Most people want to edit stuff just because it's a typographical error. And yes, this hat looks like a helmet because of the way the headphones are. But like the headphones kind of hold it on, you know? And when I angle the headphones at a certain angle that gives it that helmet look, they're more comfortable on my ears. So it's just so I guess it gives you that round helmet look. Which who knows? Maybe we all need to get ready to get into the bomb shelter. I don't know. Yesterday was a good show, except I did get my mouth. It was a little bit foul-mouthed. You know, I let myself rant and get into F this, F that too much. And for those who might have been offended, I do apologize for that. The coffee's not bad. It's that bulletproof coffee again, my version, which is just like some 100% Colombian with a little bit of instant coffee thrown in, Folgers, and a little bit of Irish butter from cows that are out in the pasture. There's some interesting stuff going on that you may or may not have been exposed to. YouTubers probably are aware of it, but people outside of YouTube aren't. But if you haven't been aware of it, there's two different studies that have came out, and they're being confused. Now, PBS and NPR has covered this, and they're covering this in a way where they're trying to kind of put it towards the plague thing. But what you really want to pay attention, so I just wanted to put the NPR, PBS to let you know that this is, this in your mind and in the Google, or YouTube studio and your algorithm and whoever else is looking at this, that this is so-called legit. All right, these are your friends, NPR, PBS, right? And it says insurance executive says death rates among working age people up 40%. Okay. Now, they go on to try to rationalize and justify, or not even rationalize or justify, but the key takeaway here, and that's why I'm enlarging it, I don't care about my face, is this is this was the three of the largest insurance companies. Okay. So these aren't, this isn't like some non-internet nonsense. The data is consistent across every player in the business. And this guy, Scott Davidson, is CEO of One America. He said death rates among working age people, those 18 to 64, are up 40% in the third and fourth quarter of 2021 over pre-pandemic levels. And there's another study that goes from where they go back to 2016 to 2020, which includes 2020, which was a plague year. All right. And again, in 2021, when the things were out, they noticed ridiculous amounts. I don't have that. I didn't post that up because I'm not sure how people are going to deal with that. CDC is yet to comment on this because they don't know what the hell to say. But the insurance companies what the insurance companies say, if anybody knows, they know. They're the people that have to pay out. And he goes on to say in the bottom, just to give you an idea of how bad that is, a 3 sigma, these are in their terminologies, or a 200-year catastrophe would be a 10% increase over pre-pandemic levels. So 40% is just unheard of. Do you grasp the magnitude of that? What he's saying here is that, and there's 2 studies now that deal with 2 different things. This one is basically the insurance companies. The other one is dealing with all these weird all other things, like people are up 300%, like hundreds of percent, like for these myocardial and blah blah things I can't even pronounce that people have been getting. So 2 different studies by doctors and insurance companies are basically saying that the impossible has occurred last year. There's no, in other words, they don't have an explanation for it. And it's so bizarre that it just breaks all rules. And you know how I always talk about probability and statistics and that kind of thing. Well, the insurance companies, that's how they make their money. It's all probability and statistics. They're gambling that you're going to live a certain age. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they'd be out of business if they have to pay out. Which makes you wonder what insurance stocks. I haven't really checked in to see. I'm not a big stock market person as far as, daily trading, that kind of thing. But I'd be curious to see how the stock market reacted to this, if this is even being reported by people like on Bloomberg. However, it is obviously reported on PBS, which is about, as liberal a media as you can get. So, in other words, a 200-year type of catastrophic event, as they say, would be a 10% increase in deaths among like working age people, which they're saying 18 to 64, right? But they're saying that the deaths are up 40%. There's been a 40% increase in deaths among 18 to 64. In other words, people in the prime of their life. And of course, people above that age, once you get over a certain age, you just get hit, bam, 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 one thing after the other as the body starts wearing out. Especially if, like I've been talking lately about the 40,000 people a week that die of processed foods and all these other things. So now we have another piece to add to this, well, I wouldn't call it puzzle, but to this nightmare, right? And so, in other words, not only... Oh, yeah.
This is a nightmare. Must be a nightmare.
Yeah. In other words, not only are the foods and lifestyle killing us, not only has our life expectancy dropped by 2 years. See, this thing should have almost been expected when a couple of years ago, or within the past year or two, the CDC announced that life expectancy in the U.S. dropped by 2 years, right? But this is a 40% increase in deaths among people in the prime of their life, basically 18 to 64, adults. That's like, do you understand the gravity of that situation? And this is coming from the insurance companies. In other words, these deaths are reported because people want to collect on their insurance policy. And what I'm giving you is PBS. You know, this isn't like one of those pundits or one of these like YouTube millionaires, you know, somebody trying to do clickbait or some weird thing, or some of the stuff I criticize. You see, this is, you know, this is coming right from the so-called horse's mouth. You know, not from, you know. And like I say, you can go, there's a nut, you can look around, and there's another woman on a San Diego news station covered it. And she was talking about this particular issue was mentioned, but she was discussing the other one that three doctors from DOD came out looking at the stats and found similar, like, very bizarre cases among, I don't know, it might have been 18 to 49s in the DOD statistics by these doctors. Again, these are doctors and insurance companies. And that article I just showed you was on PBS, NPR PBS, okay? Like I say, this isn't some, I'm not making anything up or telling you a story. Do you understand that? Algorithms, YouTube, okay? And so, and what they were saying was that these things that have been rumored to be going on in the past year, you know, with people getting these, you know, things, have turned out to be far, far more, you know, there's something else going on here. And, you know, and apparently no one to date, that Big Pharma is like kind of high, is like, nobody's commenting on this at the CDC. But like I say, you know, not even Google is going to, or Twitter or Facebook is going to argue with PBS because they're their buddies. You know, NPR, PBS are their buddies. And this is straight from the insurance companies. And the other one was from a San Diego television station. And I'm sure that that's been covered on other television, you know, major market TV, and I'm talking about. So these are their buddies. This is like the social media, you know, YouTube, their buddies. You know. I don't know what to take, you know, to think of that, other than that, you know, my first reaction would be, we're doomed. Right? We're doomed. The government should be jumping on this. Like this would be like an all-out immediate act, like emergency, you know, federal response. You know, federal disaster response. A 40% increase in deaths among people, working age people. See, this doesn't include the big year of this. Doesn't include 2020. This doesn't include you know, in other words, this is post the first year, full year of this whole thing. This is 2021, once they were starting to do the old thing, give the thing to people, when Big Pharma stepped in, all right, and started to make profiteering on this. with these things that, were just apparently not tested enough. This is like out of control what's going on right now, man. I even got an email today from one of the, because I buy stuff online. And they actually, yesterday I was talking about those products that cause cancer, that there's been lawsuits on TV. You can see it. There's probably a loss right now on some channel. If you flip around, you'll see some lawsuit about certain weed killers, right? And things like that. Weed killers and bug killers, that there's been some kind of class action lawsuit, and you could get, it's caused cancer, proven to cause cancer in court, and there have been like settlements, and you could like make a claim for your settlement. I'm still thinking of doing it since I got cancer, and I know, and I've seen those products in my neighbor's yard. But I actually was included in an email of things you might be interested in to purchase. So it's beyond the point of them still being on the shelves in the box stores, but it's like they're hawking it, so to speak. So as I say on every show, 40,000 people on average a week, according to the CDC, are dying of preventable, things that they need not die of. You need not die of type 2 diabetes, obesity, and a lot of these heart complications. Certainly, these cancers, they're tracing them back to these carcinogens, these products that are still being sold. Kidney disease. These are all, this is lifestyle dietary diseases. Do you know what I mean? This isn't, This isn't, yeah. This isn't car crashes, right? Which, people dying in the tens of thousands from that, too. And, of course, the 2,000 murders on average a week that majority aren't being solved by law enforcement. Not to mention the, ridiculous crime rates. Anyway, just think about that for a second. I'm going to go see if the rest of my coffee's like worked through the pot. I'll be back in 2 shakes of a tail feather. Lamb's tail feather. Let's get that helmet back on, right? Game over. Yeah, so it's kind of game over. Really, it's like, yeah, I was watching a video and I just jotted this down, And then I did the research today. I wanted to look firsthand and watch it, and double check, get some confirmation from a couple of sources. And sure enough, But it's funny how you see how PBS, though, they start out trying to talk about one thing, but the bottom line is really the bottom line. This is the real story. You see that? Excuse me.
Really funny. Really funny.
You guys just you don't get it, Everything's not funny.
Okay.
Everything's not funny. So, yes, that last sentence, so 40% is just unheard of. CEO $100 billion life insurance and retirement headquarters. And the data is consistent across every player in the business. I don't know if, so I'm not going to like just repeat, but just to stress it, the gravity of this and that DOD thing, what those 3 DOD doctors have found, which is a whole different data set. That's like way different than this. In other words, and they were dealing with tens of thousands of people. I believe it was in 30-some thousand, whatever, in the statistical studies, the DOD studies. This is insurance, nationwide insurance across, not nationwide the company, nationwide insurance across 3 insurance companies, across the country, in the U.S. So, so let's unpack these things, for a second, and then we'll get into be nice, because I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, because that's the other thing, because there's certain people out there in government and the corporatocracy that certainly the concept of be nice is just not in the cards for them. I've got a shirt that I was trying to, make it so it would be just available, the black ink on white, but I think I'm going to have to somehow it put this white behind it, and I didn't want that there. So I'm going to have to work on this and redo this. But so these shirts they're available today, but not that I have a million people going to want to buy these things. I'm going to have to play with that later on today to make sure I get the artwork just right. And I guess I'll try to get one white so it could be white on a color shirt and then black on a white shirt, or a color shirt. Hoodie or whatever you want. I mean, because, this is the only phrase missing from my collection. I talk about freedom is fun was one of my ones, which is really just kind of, I got on that kick for a while there on some shows where I was just trying to explain, you could be free if you can just detach yourself as much as possible from the, being dependent upon, the great government overlords, the corporatocracy. But the everything is wrong, you don't know what you don't know, game over, ROCKFLUX. But be nice I think is one that's also there. And some people might say, well, you complain, you're talking about this stuff, complaining about that. It's like, no, not really. I'm just trying to tell you the truth, get the truth out there. And one of the other things is that, if all these people want to spew divisiveness and hatred and all that other stuff, we could still be nice. There's nothing worse than a bully or somebody who's like real angry, like the angry person, the protester with the thing in their hand, or yelling at you. There's nothing worse that they, is to say to them is like, hey, have a nice day, You know what I mean? That really, that gets them. And to wear a shirt that says be nice, See, this is, nobody seems to understand what I was trying to do. I don't mean nobody, but I think I made it clear the past couple shows why everything is wrong and you don't know what you don't know, and then what those phrases, and why after 540 plus shows that they should really become clear in your mind, the importance and why wearing those wearables actually could make a difference. And if we remember, if we each just could change one mind to open one mind to be nice or to figure out, understand things better, then we're succeeding. It's like My goal here isn't obviously, you know, isn't, you know, to reach some ridiculously large audience, because I'm not. But if I could reach one person at a time, and that person could maybe reach another person, that's how change comes. That's how real change comes. They call that like grassroots type of stuff. It's just, one person at a time. And it doesn't even matter if whether or not people grasp it or they change their mind in a sense of opening up and being nice. Because I don't want anyone to change I'm not asking anyone to change their belief system, their ideology, change anything about themselves. Don't change. Be yourself. That's the takeaway I'm trying to get at. But what I am trying to do is communicate to you to make you, your mindset, to open up your mind to the idea that everything you know is wrong and you don't know what you don't know. And when you start seeing things like this and the things I've been talking about on the past couple shows, well, lately in general, well, maybe in the whole 500 shows, you realize what I'm getting at. But ultimately, really, all I'm really saying is be nice. And like I said yesterday, is what do you really want in life? You want to be happy and healthy. When you strip apart every other thing, you're left with being happy and healthy. And when you're looking at this, obviously in America, we're not happy and healthy. Because all you see on the media is anger. And you see red state, blue state, and left versus right, and people yelling at each other, right? So they're not happy. You're not happy. Happy people aren't in an argumentative mood. You know what I mean? A happy person gets confronted by somebody who says some remark and they're happy, If you're in a happy mood and you're just like hanging out and if somebody says something, a crack, maybe even an insult, like throws an insult at you, or maybe even some bigotries, or some, ridiculous remark, but you're with a friend or you're with somebody and you're just happy and you're going like, you just shrug it off because you're happy, You see? Happy people don't fight. Happy people don't, get involved in in this kind of nonsense. And healthy people, health and happiness. I mean, it's what it's all about. And we're not getting that, if there's a reason why we pay taxes, why we support this corporatocracy, this government, whatever it is, they're not fulfilling their end of the bargain, put it that way. They're not, provide for the common defense. Think about that. Like there aren't many purposes for government. Right? Because the U.S. was founded on the idea of limited government. That's the whole idea. We didn't want a strong central government. We fought the Revolutionary War, independence from England Day, July 4th. They try to say that, call it July 4th, but it's really independence from England Day, independence from the king system, independence from some central control by some despot. In other words, a king or a president, right? When George Washington, they wanted, where they were trying to say, he should be king. And he was like, you guys just don't get it. What do you think we've been fighting for? It's like that line in Braveheart, right? What have we been doing all this time? Remember that scene toward the end? Whatever the exact words were, but it was something like that. Well, what have we been doing all this time? What's all, what was the Revolutionary War about? It wasn't to elect some kind of cult of personality president or any kind of politicians or even a Congress that would have like controlling power. They were supposed to be representatives. The president was supposed to be the chief executive, basically sit at a desk and handle the business, right? Because in order to deal with other nations, right? Which is ultimately how we, ended up with, the diplomatic corps and what have you. And Congress was just supposed to be representatives of the states so that all the states could have commerce together and understand, live in harmony and be nice to one another, basically make sure that everybody was happy and healthy. And so the government itself, though, was supposed to provide for the common defense, so protect our country against another despotic, King of England or something. You see? And people don't look at it like that in a very basic form, and I guess they don't teach that in schools, and maybe they haven't taught that in 30, 40 years. I don't know. I have no idea what they're teaching in school. I know school teachers who tell me that they're doing a lot of pressure to teach the kids how to pass the state and federal tests so that the schools continue to get their funding, and that the reason the teachers go along with it and the teachers union pressure them is because the teachers want to retire, right, and get their pensions. It's like a Tom Waits line. Ambulance drivers don't give a shit. They just want to get off work. Sorry, I guess I can't language, you can't be offended by, words, no matter what they are. In fact, sometimes it sounds stupid when people when the natural word that should come out and someone says something that's like not natural. It's kind of cold in here. Do you want to look at the
Weather Watch forecast?
And in the mid-Atlantic states, it's freezing, literally freezing. 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's going to get a couple of degrees Fahrenheit colder before sunrise. It's going to go down to 30. Today, the high in the mid-Atlantic states is going to be around 52 degrees, though the sun's going to be out. The overnight low is 43. Tomorrow it's going to be in the 50s. The overnight low is still in the 40s, but starting to inch up. However, and I might as well give this to you now since it's hump day.
Weekend weather.
Friday, it's going to be 63 degrees and 52 at night. Saturday, well, there's a 50% chance of a thunderstorm. It's going to be 70 degrees and 54 at night. And Sunday, it's going to be sunny, 79, which means in my backyard, it'll be in the 80s by the garden, and 57. So I'm planning to plant on Friday because it's going to be 63. And there will have been, so it's... And I know we'll get a frost and we'll get a late flurry or a couple of nights where it might dip down after that in the longer term. But 3 days in a row when the ground, of 70 to 60 and 70 degree weather, I could live with that.
Weekend weather.
So that's that. Wherever you are, I'm sure down south it's going to be hot. And up in the Northeast, it's going to be, similar. So, we've got a good weekend coming up. This is, and we deserve a good weekend. My poor cat, I gave it its shot today. Today's the last day, and then of his steroid thing, and then it's every other day. And it's supposed to be the last day of the antibiotic, but I was reading the antibiotic bottle, and it looked to me, and I swear I was told to just give one antibiotic shot a day. It's not really a shot. It's like, in a syringe type thing without a needle. You just put it in their mouth so they, swallow it. One steroid a day, one antibiotic. But I was reading a bottle because that's finished. Well, I have to give him one more today around 1 o'clock. But I was supposed to be giving him 2 of those. But he seems okay. Now, he's lost weight. Yesterday, he ate a little bit. Not much. Used a litter box, which was good. So, I don't know. Like I say, when I say this stuff I've been saying the past, I don't know, couple of months, about this week, that CDC's leading causes of death, and how most of that stuff is just really, we shouldn't be dying from that. But our pets shouldn't be dying either. And, we have an elderly population that's got all kinds of complications and problems. And during this whole thing, this plague thing, they kept saying, people over a certain age, I think it was even 65, they say they were more susceptible to this and that. And the death rates were higher among those individuals. All right. And so after that thing kind of calmed down and suddenly they had this thing that they were giving to people, pretty much forcing people if they wanted to get out of their houses. Well, a year after that, in 2021, suddenly we see a 40% rise in the death of people 18 to 64. So, and I don't even know if they study people under age 18, these insurance companies. And this is just 2021. And they were saying that's 11 months in 2021. This is kind of post. You understand the year 2020, which was the full-blown year when things like peaked at its worst. That year there wasn't a 40% increase. You see, it was like 2021. This is ongoing. But that's in addition to like the CDC numbers of the leading causes of death. So I don't know if anybody's putting all this stuff together. I doubt if they will. I'm not going to do it either. This isn't going to be like a show of, death tolls like the networks were doing a couple of years ago. I think it's just time to be nice and try to be happy and healthy as you can and take care of yourself and the people around you. Because I think if they gave us the real numbers, and what they're doing, they're just using us as guinea pigs and stuff. I mean, I don't know. I feel sorry for people. And I feel sorry for my cat. And I'm just heartbroken just looking at him. He's bones. He's like bones covered with fur. Hasn't really eaten. And he's under medical care. See, it's different if it's like, it's almost like, you see these things when they found, these guys go to these houses and they find some animal in there and it's all stick and bones. And then they take it to some animal shelter and then they show you like weeks, a month later, and the animal's healthy and playing and running around and then gets adopted to a nice home and stuff. Well, that's what he looks like. He looks like the thing that you would find in some abandoned house that hadn't eaten in a month or. But, there's probably been $1,200. I don't know how many thousand, how much money's been spent on veterinarian bills and prescription drugs. For a cat. And it's the same with people. I mean, it's crazy. I'm pouring coffee. Like, I always try to explain this because people wonder what I'm doing. And when I bend down, sometimes I'm drinking coffee, but I'll try to pick it up so you understand that now. But you see why I don't want to do that, because it like hits the microphone. So I usually so when you see me dip, I will inevitably do that again. I'm just taking a sip of coffee. So yes, today is a little more subdued than yesterday, that is for sure. But yesterday I had to, put out a lot of information. And I had to take you on a journey around to show you the things, everything you know is wrong, and you don't know what you don't know about the windmills and, energy in the planet and all of that craziness, that the other lie. And now today it's just another everything you know is wrong, and you don't know what you don't know. And that's where, and so it's then what? What do we do? And that's why I decided to go with this be nice. Because I'm saying, there's nothing we can do. If we're being lied to by what people call the media, and that includes social media, anything that has media in its name, okay? If it's some social media, mainstream media, cable media, billboard media, magazines, newspapers, whatever, people's blogs, vlogs, right? Whatever, media. We can't trust that. We can't trust the numbers on, that they're people who would supposedly people in power, elected officials and bureaucrats. We can't believe them and trust what they say. They lie, and they keep getting caught in lies. And then and no one ever and the media, because it's the media, they don't challenge them. And the only challenge to mainstream media, so to speak, is what they call alternative media, or people like to think of them, but all they do is they just it's political and personal. That's the thing. That's why I say be nice. It's it's personal. They're criticizing each other. It's just not right. And so you just got to go on and live and accept this, that we're in some kind of, just things are falling apart. On a planetary scale, this magnetic deterioration in our solar system just hit another planet. And if a third planet goes, and this is too much science. This is astrophysics. This is another thing I follow, but I'm not going to even begin to get into astrophysics because I don't have an audience of physicists. I know that for sure. And a layperson, it's not insulting anyone, but I just giving you this a heads up on this. When I talk about the sun, all right, being the source of our climate, the sun having a magnetic shield that protects the solar system, and the Earth having a magnetic field that protects the Earth too. You know, there's like these two major kind of semi-force fields out there. And that's what it is, literally. It's a magnetic force field. The Earth is this spinning dynamo, right? And the Earth's magnetic field is weakening and is on the verge of maybe some kind of flipping polarity, or at the very least, the what we call the magnetic poles, they're moving, so that's going to cause some major disruptions, and that's what we're seeing, disruptions in migratory patterns and in things like the jet stream and stuff like that. That's what's affecting it. It's not like CO2. You know, that's such a fantasy thing. It would be laughable if it wasn't all over the place. And if people weren't zombified, brainwashed into thinking that. Poor kids. They actually believe that. I mean, I showed you that thing yesterday, which was ridiculous, was insane. I mean, I think I may still have it here. Yeah. This was yesterday. Nighttime degrees, basically we're a month into spring now. Okay. Spring has been here for a month. Nighttime degrees, 30 degrees, but below it, hardiest of species may not survive planet's warming. And I know I said that yesterday a bunch of times, but do you understand? They have the nerve, that somebody actually typed that on there and they believed, right, what they're typing. And on the bottom, snow, 7:30. And I'll tell you, yesterday afternoon, I was sitting in my bedroom upstairs because that's where I have my TV that I watch YouTube on, right? I use my Fire Stick, I think it's called. Fire TV, Fire Stick, I don't know what. And, and I get up. I don't want to sit in a chair, so I try to get up periodically, come downstairs, go upstairs. You got to keep yourself moving around. It was too cold to be outside. But I did take a walk yesterday down to the grocery store in the morning. So I got my exercise in. But I got up out of the chair just because I didn't want to be sitting there all, in the afternoon. I looked out the window. It was like a blizzard, man. It's like a blizzard. It looked like it was the middle of January or February outside. Right? And it's like spring's been here for like a month. And so somebody working at one of these weather channel type of places is typing down that the planet's, species aren't going to survive the planet's warming. I mean, how, what is going, in other words, it has to be, this is I talk about the bioelectric brain as opposed to consciousness, read my book Codex, right? The Hard Problem of Consciousness, please. It'll help you. All right. I also talk about AI in that. All right. And my latest book, Then What? It's just a flow of consciousness. They're companion pieces for this stuff. If you want to learn more about me, my thought process, and just like kind of the way things in general, it's interesting stuff. But anyway, how could someone do that? How could you type that? I guess you want to keep your job. You want to be able to pay your rent. It's like the announcers on TV. Like I try to say that. I'm not going to apologize for these people, but I mean, I guess in a sense I am. I honestly believe that there are many politicians and many news readers, as we call them, that are just, they're in a position, caught between a rock and a hard place. And the reason that they're spouting out and repeating this crazy narrative or pushing this divisiveness, reading the script, the teleprompter, whatever, you understand, or typing whatever onto the website, whatever they're given by whoever the editor or the person above them says, here, post this to the website. is that they, their apartment is expensive and their cost of living, and they have a car payment and, insurance payments. Right? Maybe some of them have a kid or two or something, or they were dating or trying to go out with some girl and they would take somebody out to dinner or to a nice restaurant, or or they're forced pressure. They have these things where you have to buy a diamond ring that's like a quarter of your year's salary, or I don't know. It's a ridiculous amount of money that, and then, there's these women that look at somebody and go like, well, if you don't buy, if you're not willing to spend, $10,000 or $20,000 on my diamond ring, and you're not worthy to be my spouse. Imagine that. But all that aside, they're doing it anyway. So whether or not they have pressure or not pressure, they just don't have the will and the self-confidence to say, take this job and shove it. I'm not going to type that lie. I'm not going to type below 30 degrees at night a month into spring that the planet's warming. When they went to college and studied meteorology and they understand, the basics, climatology, how the earth and the, and the sun, the atmosphere and all of that comes into play, how they really understand that CO2 is only 0.004% of the atmosphere, and 99.9% of the Earth's atmosphere isn't CO2, it's nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. 99.9%. And they're trying to blame that for everything. And if they can't blame that, then they blame Putin or Russia. And if they can't blame that, then they blame the thing, the plague. And all of these things are still going on right now. They're all in full force. China is the plague is way big. So that's coming back to the U.S. this fall. You can bet it, despite those numbers I just showed you, right? And, nobody's talking about the food situation at all, processed foods at all. And 40,000 people a week dying in the U.S. or the major murder, a couple thousand murders a week. So, the planet's dying. This country's dying. We're dying. Old people are dying, but now 18 to 64 people are dying. We don't have the numbers on kids, but that study's maybe out within the next year, something there too. I mean, we know that children have high instances of all these, these diseases that, they shouldn't have, autism and, ADH, whatever all these things are off the charts. So we already know that. That's been out for years. There have been people in documentaries talking about that. So we're dying. But it's not because of some plague or some war. It's because of big tech and big ag and big pharma and military contractors and the government and bureaucrats. I mean, processed foods are killing 40,000 people. I mean, do you understand? This is insanity. And then there's people out there buying, I'm going to drink almond milk and organic food and I'm going to become a vegan. That's what's killing you too, you dope. When it says organic in big letter, all natural, non-GMO, what the? It's just printing on a package. Unless you're growing it in your own backyard. And then if you got a neighbor like mine, and if she's spraying pesticides or weed killers, and that's getting into the groundwater, well, you're screwed even if you try, They're spraying stuff, see, they don't even talk about, the spray aerosols that they're spraying and testing. That's the whole Bill Gates thing. That's an ongoing project. They didn't stop that. They're testing, I don't know what, that guy is really out of his frickin' mind. They know that the sun is the major cause of climate, okay? But they also know that the planet's cooling, okay? Right? A week into spring, it's 30 degrees. Today is the 20th of April, okay, in the calendar year 2022. And the temperature outside, I'll just read it again, all right? It's 30 degrees. By the way, it's 5 a.m. Eastern time here in the Mid-Atlantic states, for those of you interested,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
But they know that. They know the temperature. So why are they spraying this stuff to deflect the sun from the planet? And these particulate matter, some of these things are like aluminum and different particles and stuff that, have been proven to, birds are just dropping from the sky. You've seen those pictures. This isn't fake stuff. It's killing, you got windmill. First of all, they want to kill a bird. For some reason, I guess they want to kill all the birds. Because the windmills are killing millions of birds. Then these particulate matter that they're spraying in the sky, you see these neighborhoods and there's just pictures, and they've got smartphones. And there's different people posting all in the same things. Why did these thousands of birds just fall from the sky? And then they try to make some kind of cockamamie, story excuse. And then it happens somewhere else that has not, so they can't use the excuse from that area in a different part of the country. Yeah, I guess they were spraying there too. So they're hitting us from the air. They're putting it in our food. It's in our water supply. Right? And they're giving it to people, you got to get the 6, the FDA approved number 6 for the fall. So it's like, what are you going to do? They don't want us here. They don't need us anymore. Elon Musk, like I say, he's a car salesman, but he's a robot salesman too. He's his robot's supposed to be, the prototype's supposed to be out this year to take the place of menial tasks of humans, right? So in other words, the ruling elite, basically, there's 8 billion people on the planet approximately. And I guess they want to get rid of everybody except for whoever, the Davos set and their minions. And then just have these Tesla robots, serve them. And they'll live in, and have the Earth will look like I was saying yesterday, a Borg sphere, some weird electronic Borg sphere. My coffee's grainy. I must have put a hole in the filter when I was trying to force it through. But I don't care. It tastes okay. Anyway, that's the way I see it. And I don't, and like I've often said on this show, there's so many times I wish I was wrong. I don't have an ego like a lot of people do. I'll argue my point. But, presented with the data, I'll say, yeah, well, can't argue with the data. I'll argue with the person over something, right? But once I go through the data, and I'll apologize to somebody. I don't have an ego like that where I'm afraid to apologize or afraid of looking at the data and basically, saying, yeah, okay, yeah, that person was right. But, that's just not how people are now. It's left and right, red, blue, red team, blue team, cult of personality, whatever. And there's all these people that have unrealistic ideas and think that they could somehow change something that's already happened. In other words, you're trying to raise Lazarus from the dead, man. Do you understand? That's the United States. There's your analogy, right? This is the former United States. Western civilization is gone. It's over. And it's like, at this point, it's like, lose the anger, lose the hatred, lose the divisiveness, and just be nice. And try to pursue a life to be happy and healthy as you can. Now, there are ways of doing it. I mean, I'm trying my darndest, and I've got some ideas to build. If this woman is going to be spraying pesticides by her fence, I'm not putting any plants. I have a separation of a concrete path that separates my yard, goes down the center of my yard. And I've decided this year only plants that are leaf-related plants will I put on the side facing her. And any plants that basically are, water, that pull water from the ground, like anything from zucchinis to tomatoes to my apple trees, they're over on that side. Anything like that is separated by that thick concrete path, number one. Number two, I'm going to, and it's going to kill me because I'm not going to pay my water bill this month because I have to buy like $100 worth of concrete. And some of the concrete only costs like $3 something a bag, so it's a lot of concreting. But I'm going to go and concrete all along that fence, not just to keep the rodent from digging underneath it, which is a problem, and I don't want rodents in my yard, obviously. But basically to deflect the water, the drainage from her yard into my yard. Now, things could go deep into the soil from her yard. But I mean, the water nothing. I'm growing lettuce. It's got a root that's about this big. Okay. You know what I mean? It's not pulling, and I'm watering it. And that's another thing I will make sure I do this year. In other words, I will keep my plants watered so they're not trying to tap root, go down feet. And that's the best I could do. To keep it, So in other words, double my barrier to prevent any leakage. And I don't care if she gets down, if her poisons go into the water table, well, that's just poisoning the water table, I guess, down deep. But it shouldn't make it over to my side, So I'll be able to eat lettuce that I'll have some confidence in it being truly organic. It's they're raised beds on top of it. So I'll probably this year purchase some extra bags of soil so that it won't even be. Yeah, I was half tempted to actually put cardboard, and I may do that, is actually put cardboard or even wood or something so I'm not even touching the soil. So she could put all the crap she wants to in her yard, but I'm not even touching the earth soil. I'm using my soil and it's like growing things in pots, you know. In other words, she could spray her pesticide and, weed killer, but my plants aren't, touching the soil. And that's how it is. I use all raised beds for gardening right now anyway. Except my apple trees and stuff, but they're on the other side, separated by a thick concrete path that goes down the middle of my yard. And I know they have tap roots. But, and it's not like it's this is a neighborhood, So if she's spraying some dandelions here and there, I'm not worried about that. And I am going to build a barrier. I wish I didn't have to. It's crazy. But, and that's just a weird little aside, but I mean, it's the kind of thing where you want to eat, if you want organic, you better grow it yourself, This coffee's not bad, it's just that it's granular. I'll show you. You could see. Let's see. You see yeah. See the grains in the bottom. I just screwed up. I'm low on coffee, so I figured I ordered some more coffee. It may be delivered today, but it might not be delivered till Friday. So I have enough 100% Colombian coffee, and I have some instant coffee, and I thought I'd just kind of put a couple spoonfuls of Colombian in a spoonful of instant. And, didn't work out right. So maybe I'll be better off just to put the rest of, tomorrow I might just finish off the Colombian if I have enough for a full pot. Or just run water through my coffee machine and then just stir instant coffee here, into my glass. Hot water. In other words, just make hot water. Or actually stir it in the pot, in the thing. Cold truck. So, yeah, we've reached this point where things have gotten so out of control that, we've allowed the media, so people are worried about the First Amendment, Twitter, that's like laughable. Social media, they're just apps. They're apps, they're toys. They're really just toys. It's play stuff. It's like a kid, they used to have PlayStation and, or these little handheld. The first things were these little handheld things that kids had, that they used to play these very simplistic games on. It was like the 80s and stuff. Right? Put a couple batteries in it, just had a screen, and it was just like very simplistic, goofy games. But I mean, Twitter to me is like Pac-Man, right? Emoji. Wasn't Pac-Man's like an emoji, and it's just a game. But people are arguing back and forth with each other instead of just being nice, right? Things go viral. People want to say, look at me, share some kind of thing. Get some dopamine hit because they get more followers or likes or something. It's so childish. So this Peter Pan society up to the age of like 45, 50-ish, they're just childish. A lot of adults, like even beyond that age, are very childish, too. But yeah, these new numbers coming out now that's saying 18 to 64, 40% increase in deaths. I mean, wow. Like, wow. On top of the 40,000 a week that are dying and the 2,000 that are being murdered, and not to mention all the people who are surviving diseases like me who, had cancer, hopefully it stays away. I can't guarantee it. Who've had operations, who's fighting off a gallbladder situation. Right? So what about that? All the senior citizens suffering, in care facilities, nursing homes, long-term facilities, independent living facilities, whatever you want to call them. Handicapped people, veterans coming back, all sorts of problems, mental illness. You know what I mean? It's like, what the? And then nobody talking the truth, and then guys like me who are truth sayers, nobody watches, right? Or they hide you, right? They hide you. They don't want long-form videos, right? They don't want the truth. Like, people are afraid of the truth. You shouldn't be afraid of the truth. You're saying, well, the truth is depressing. No, it's not. The truth is, it's like they say, the truth will set you free, man. The truth lets you know that everything you know is wrong, or you don't know what you don't know. The truth allows you to see the world the way it really is. And then you can make decisions on life, your life and the life of those you care about, based upon understanding the world as it really is. Instead of like being blindsided like me, where my cat is dying. And a friend of mine has spent a lot of their hard-earned money on a veterinarian that didn't, cure it. We're not curing things. We're just prolonging things. It's profit. Everything's profit. Treatments, not cures. They want to cure cancer. They don't want to cure anything. They want to treat it so they can make money. It's like these wars. They don't want to end it. It's like I used to always say, this is going to sound weird coming from a guy who's got a be nice thing on there. It's like I'm anti-war and stuff. When I was younger, I could be a tough guy, But you know what I used to say to people when they wanted to fight? Because I was always fairly strong. I've told these stories different times, but I used to tell people, I told one person, I used to say, look, I don't fight, man. I said, the idea is, if I fight, it's going to be a fight to the death. I don't believe in fighting as a sport. It's another reason why I don't like guys like Joe Rogan and those stupid. Like, I never was into boxing or wrestling or whatever that Rogan thing they do, right? It's like clown stuff. You know what I mean? And then people who want to watch this, like, what's that? What's that all about? I mean, that's like as bad as basketball. A bunch of people bouncing a ball around. Right? Football. I played football when I was a kid. It's what's that line? It's like a biblical line, I guess. When I was a child, I thought as a child or acted as a child. Now I'm a man. I think like a man or act like a man. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I played football. When I was a kid, young, last time I played football organized was like my freshman year in high school. You know, I was the fullback on the football team, starting fullback. And it was like a game. And then it was like, yeah, forget that. And I got into a band in the arts, and then later on in high school, I told you got into radio and stuff. And I had the underground newspaper too. So I was always pursuing justice and truth and justice. But yeah, my idea is that you don't want to fight me. I don't want to fight you. You know? And like I said, I can remember one time dropping some guy in a bar, a guy picking a fight with me. I took him outside, the bartender take it outside. I slammed the guy to the ground, and I was on top of him, right? And I had my fist like this, ready to go into his head. And I said, do you really want me, to beat the shit out of you? Or do you want to go back in the bar and I'll buy you a drink? Guy was accusing me of like talking to his girlfriend or something, which was weird. Like I gave a shit about his girlfriend. She was a weirdo. She wasn't even in the bar that night, but I mean, she must have thought in her mind, because I was pleasant to her, that I was trying to pick her up or something. Like the delusions of some people. I didn't want to say it to him. I said, but I wouldn't touch your girlfriend with a 10-foot pole. Besides, at the time, I was dating this sexual dynamo, Sharon Stone lookalike, who was like sex crazed, I couldn't keep up with her. You know what I mean? It was like... So he realized it. I didn't hit him. I just pounded him onto the ground, basically was on top of him and, I had my fist ready to crack him in the face. To be honest with you, I wouldn't have cracked him in the face because I know I can judgment of people. I knew he was going to back down because I already had overpowered him. I mean, he was done. It's like the guy in a sword fight or something like that, or somebody night, this old, you watch these old movies, period pieces. It's like they got the knife to your throat. It's like surrender or you die, right? It's like those Roman gladiator movies, thumbs up or thumbs down, You got the sword at his heart, Well, I'm the guy. I don't want to kill anybody. And I took him inside, we went back in the bar and I bought him a beer. I said, chill out, man. I don't care about your girlfriend, and let's not even talk about it. And besides, I knew the guys loosely since I was a kid anyway. So it's like, come on, man. And so that's the whole thing. So there's no that's why I don't understand these wars anymore. Right? It's just war profiteering. Military contractors wanting to make hundreds of billions of dollars. So they kill people, one by one, right? So they can replace the weapons and charge the government, and your taxes get to buy and pay this, that, the other. All the wars we had over the past 20 years, those endless wars in the Middle East, didn't save freedom, right? If anything, we lost freedom in the last 20 years. Our freedom in the United States basically all but vanished. You think it's going to come back, right? You think, like I said, you're going to raise Lazarus from the dead? Once something happens, it happens. And, they've destroyed this. People are dying, man. People are dying. They're not trying to cure anything. They just want to basically just keep giving you treatments because they're making hundreds of billions of dollars. Or let you die and, because they want to reduce the surface population. They pay no attention to those coal trucks going up there. Look at them. Every day, man. feeding those electric plants. There you go. That's your electric car, Tesla, Mr. Car Salesman. You liar. He's a liar. Well, you say, be nice. Well, I'm being nice. I'm being nice to you. Trying to tell you the truth, that everything you know is wrong. There are so many things wrong right now. Okay? Like, I mean, this whole, I don't know how to describe it. Panorama, or something. It's like everywhere you look, everything you know is wrong, or you simply don't know what you don't know. All right? And apart from me, and like I said, that guy, that Black Conservative Patriot channel, I put a note on his site, but, I realized I was cursing yesterday, and, I'm pretty sure he's, that he might take offense to that, because he's pretty much, he's a nice guy, and, he never doesn't use foul language or anything like that. But I recommend you go visit his site, because he's a truth teller. And I enjoy watching some of the stuff he says. But, I'm not going to hold back. Sometimes I say what I say. I get fired up over something, and I'm going to, use these words. And I get, I apologize if it offends people, but like I said, it is what it is, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it again. And I don't, in my mind, they're just words. It's just like this issue that people have with name calling and bigotry and all this other stuff. It's like, look, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. So I don't care. I've been called names as a kid. I've had, I mean, what the heck? Who cares? I got to live your life, be offended by something. It's like, then what? It's like, they're always looking for something else, these people who are these agent provocateurs. That's really what's going on. The media, they're all agent provocateurs now. Used to be the CIA would go into countries and people would call them agent provocateurs and stuff like that. Like as if it was something like this in the spy world, Back when they used to pretend that the embassies weren't CIA stations. Oh man. Like there was really diplomacy going on. Well, there's no diplomacy going on right now. So the war-profiteers are making money. Big Pharma is making money. Big Ag is making money. Big Tech is raking in the money. The Federal Reserve, board, of governors and their affiliated banks are raking in the money. Wall Street's raking in the money. Right? The corporatocracy, the government, the corporatocracy, they're all making money, right? And meanwhile, we're dying. We're dying. It's pathetic. And people are out there and they're thinking, and they've got this cult of personality, political. They think there's a political solution, that there's some individual, despite the history, recent history, despite the last 5 years, that they think some individual is going to suddenly save them. We fought wars for over 20 years. And we have less freedom. We've worked, we've paid taxes, we've had Republicans, Democrats, Republicans in offices, and the quality of life for the average human being has dropped. The life expectancy for the average person in the United States has dropped by 2 years, according to the CDC. 40,000 people a week are dying in this country of preventable things that they shouldn't be dying from. All right? And a couple thousand people are being murdered each week. And an ungodly amount of crimes are being committed upon the American people. Gangs are running rampant. People are committing suicide, overdosing on drugs. And people aren't happy. People aren't getting married. They're not, it's like life is not, there's no love. Love is a 4-letter word. I did a show on that. Young people aren't coupling. They're, it's all like, and you think, oh, it's the 2022 elections and then the 2024 elections. We're going to change everything. Come on, look at reality. There's a guy in office who's a president. There's a woman who's like the Speaker of the House. There's a guy, even Mitch McConnell. Look at that turtle head. I hate to be insulting, but I mean, these are a bunch of like geriatric people that, really should be, just at home being like, their grandkids should come over and visit them on their rocking chairs. They're not in charge. They're not in charge of this country. It's the corporatocracy. And we're all dying. They're killing us off. We're all dying. You see, this is the thing. None of the politicians, this is the thing, or the bureaucrats are talking about health and happiness. Like they would laugh that you might be laughing at me saying that. There's probably some people see this be nice and they go, well, it's be nice. What, health and happiness. Trust me. Look, you just don't understand it. You haven't laid in that hospital bed, Health and happiness. People just want human contact. Look at these trucks. See, I love this show, because I have that thing, that live camera that shows something. So it's like, I really can give you the truth firsthand. And even if I bring in an article occasionally, like I did today, it's like, it wasn't like I'm criticizing or using it for some, stepping off piece or something. No, it's basically documentation of something I've been saying, because you have to every now and then, because these people will question you. That's the reason I do it. And I only ever do it once in a blue moon. Well, I do something like that. But I have to because it's controversial. It shouldn't be controversial because it's the truth, right? It's coming from actual sources. So they can't dispute it. They can't dispute the beloved NPR and PBS, and they can't dispute statistics from the insurance companies themselves and the CEO of the insurance company. See what I mean? They can't call that false information, or misinformation or whatever the heck, people try to say. And so I like showing the truth. I like showing you that there are coal trucks feeding the electric plants live. This is a live show. There they go. That's what your car's running on in many of these areas. Electric cars run on coal. And I still have to say it. And you have to understand, heavy equipment. This country is a carbon-based civilization. We're carbon-based, creatures. Right? You can't fix a road, put out a fire, right? Build a building, repair a building, do anything without fossil fuels. So why are they lying about that? Everything is wrong. It's just lie after lie. And it's going to come. And that's what I'm saying about then what? When it's game over this is within the next year or so, like the truth is coming out. That's why I showed you that thing today. All right? Look at those trucks. So as the truth comes out, then what are they going to do? You can't keep putting up a thing saying the planet's warming when you're showing that it's snowing in spring, a month into spring. And last year it did it, we had snow in May and a frost that, I lost tomato plants like on May 2nd. Finally May 2nd, I put out some tomato plants that I was growing in my greenhouse and they froze overnight. There was a frost. I tried covering them, but it wasn't enough. May. And then there was a dusting of snow sometime like a week later, like almost the second week of May or something. May. In the mid-Atlantic states. Right? April showers bring May flowers. Do you know when flowers bloom around these parts these times? Not until like August, late July, August. It's because of the way, the planet is cooling, man. It's cooling. It's been cooling for years. The temperatures they take are like, I told you, are from airports or like buildings next to HVAC systems in big cities that generate their own heat. They're not taking the temperature in, here, in the average city, in like, average city USA, average American, any town USA. That's the phrase I was looking for. They're not taking the temperature and gauging like the weather and their climate, statistics from any town USA. No, they're taking it from like major busy airports that are so hot because of jet engines and those tarmacs, and cities that are so hot because of the high concentration of people, buildings, right, and everything. And in the north, like I said, how are you going to heat the north? How are you going to cool all these elderly people in the south? And I think that's why they want to kill us. I think they've come to that realization that this whole thing's a fraud. They know they're going to be exposed. They're already being exposed. They're just like I say, I'm on page 1 million, so no one could see this show. They don't, but I'm not breaking any rules. Like I say, terms of service go two ways, right? You know what I mean? So, they're to protect you too, right? So they can't, the truth is the truth. But they can hide you, right? They can hide the truth. But the truth will come out. And it's coming out. And eventually it'll be there. And a lot of people will be in denial or be like, duh, what? That can't be true. They'll be in denial. But eventually you can't deny something forever, right? It's like yesterday, there was a frickin' blizzard, and I was walking back from the store and someone from across the street was gotten out of their car and said something to the effect of, a week ago we were mowing our lawns. And I said, yeah, climate change. No, I said global warming. And it was a woman. And she just, laughed out loud. People get it. People get it. It's like enough blizzards in April, enough frost in May in states that, it shouldn't be happening. Like I say, when you live long enough and you remember the 4 seasons, right? We do have 4 seasons. It's not like I don't live in Alaska. Like I say, this is a mid-Atlantic states, not the Northeast. Okay? All right, this is the mid-Atlantic states. Talked to a guy from the Carolinas a couple days ago. It was like 40. He said it was like 40-some degrees. It's in the 40s. High 40s maybe. I don't know, whatever. But still. Spring. And these people are just relentless. So like I say, sooner or later, you have to fess up and admit it. I mean, and then when and when your pet dies, and when your family members die, when you get cancer, like I have, right? Are you still going to be in denial? Right? That's what I'm saying. We're at a point now where it's like, and what? And so who's going to come and save us? So you're going to elect a president, a new Speaker of the House, or some kind of Congress that's going to somehow what? Reverse the fact that we're all dying? They've already put that in the motion, man. It's like, how are you going to reverse it? There's 330 million people in this country. It's huge. Remember, I hadn't even gotten into the idea of the miles and miles of the power grid that's just falling apart, and the miles and miles of sewer pipes and water pipes under the ground. They stopped the Build Back Better thing. They dumped that slogan because they know it's impossible to do. I told you yesterday they were originally talking about spending money to fix the rail lines, but the automotive people basically nixed that idea, in place, and replaced it with electric cars that Elon Musk admitted on his TED Talk that basically the ultimate goal is self-driving cars. And threw a little line in there that said that will be better, will have less fatalities than, in other words, they're admitting that, these cars are going to, that traffic deaths, basically car crashes, that they're not going to eliminate car crashes, so the tens of thousands of people who are dying from and getting maimed, lives ruined from automobile, crashes. I don't want to call them accidents. They're not accidents. It's like, that's still going to continue. I think I'd rather have my hands on the wheel than not. All right? No, you've got a system where you got to live out your life. It's like we just have to live out our lives. This is it, man. This is it. I hate to say it, but it's it. This is the end of this particular, era of man. The 12,000 year cycle is up, right? 10 to 12,000 year cycle is coming up. All you have to do is look at what's going on in the solar system. And I don't know, maybe this magnetic field, they have these experiments they do in colleges all the time where they put magnets in people's brains and stuff. So maybe the weakened magnetic field is affecting people. Maybe that's what's causing them to be the way they are. And maybe there's just people like me. I've been this way since I've been young. I've always seen things for what they are. So I think there's certain people that are immune to certain electromagnetic or just propaganda and conditioning and stuff. Like it never really affected me. Like I say, in high school, I was the editor of the underground newspaper. Think about that. Right? You see, there had never been an underground newspaper that I've known of in the high school I was at, and I'm sure there wasn't one, since. But you see, that's where my head was. I was always looking and going, man, everything is wrong. You don't know what's wrong. This is absurd. This is ridiculous. What you're saying, and you're saying do this, and I'm saying then what, right? But at the same time, I've always lived my own life by what I've got here on the screen. Be nice. Be good. I try to be a good person, I mean, I've gone through my self-centered stage. I've told you that before, I've pursued, went down the avenue of pursuing success, and stuff like that. But, I realized that after a while that was, I was nonsense. It didn't mean anything to me. So, and that's why I am the way I am. And I do these things, and I'm not monetized, and I don't really care that you don't buy these things from a financial standpoint. I don't make any money on my 50 songs or 10 books or whatever. But I do think that these things could help people. That's why I've done them. I do think these webcasts, these podcasts, these vlogs could help people, wake people up to the, ideas and live a better life. Knowledge is power in the sense that knowing puts you in a position to see the world the way it really is, to see life the way it really is, and to look around you, look at the people, and the world around you, nature around you, and enjoy it and soak it in and be nice, right? That's what the truth does. And this idea of raising these humans to some kind of cult leader status, that's what politics is. And thinking that some person or persons are going to change things. What? Pass a few laws, some more negate some executive orders and make a stack of new executive orders? It's not going to change anything. I don't want to get into, I mean, saying I don't want to get into it, but I'm going to get into it. So I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. Say, the Save America thing works, right? And they start rebuilding the wall, and they built this ironclad wall. Now, by the time all that stuff would happen, there probably will have been 5 million more people will have come in over there. People with, diseases that were, long since, eliminated in the U.S. Cartels, criminals, all kinds of other sorts, gang members, right? Taxing the welfare system, the safety net that the average American worker, the middle class person, and the upper middle class, it's deducted from your salary, your paycheck, your salary. You pay Social Security and Medicare, that gets deducted from your paycheck. Look at your pay stub, right? You don't get a refund on your Social Security or Medicare. You could get a federal tax refund, but you don't get what you paid into Social Security or Medicare back. So you're paying in to that system, and that system's not helping you. You know, because the system that is in place, that safety net or that retirement fund, goes to the corporatocracy. So in other words, when you collect your Social Security and you retire after working for 45 years or something like that, right? Your whole life, you just worked for them. They have it figured out. Over half of your wages every year goes to taxes in one way, shape, or form. Whether you get a tax rebate or not, you're paying taxes. Because you're paying taxes and sales taxes when you're buying things, right? Everything's got a tax. There's surcharges on bills services that you have, and utility bills. There's taxes. They don't come back in your tax rebate. You're still paying taxes. When you go on a vacation, you're paying taxes. All right? Half of your earnings go to the government. And the government is not curing you of diseases. It's just treating you so they can make hundreds of billions of dollars. The government is not doing anything about crime in this country. Cartels and, right, heroin trade and, right, fentanyl and suicides and murders. They're not solving them, right? More than half of them go unsolved. What are they doing? They're going after what? They're political enemies, right? The FBI is basically goes after their political, is like basically, goes after political enemies, people who are speaking the truth or something. Do you understand? The whole system's all messed up. It's gone. It's beyond it. When you had Orange Man in there, like I said, I say this all the time, they impeached him 2 times. Everything he done, it was like I said, it's like that Bob Marley, I shot the sheriff thing. Every time he planted a seed, they'd kill it before it grew. And you think it's gonna how's it going to be different? It's not. And these new statistics that I showed you today, these horrendous statistics, a 40% increase in people between the ages of 18 and 64, right? Increase in deaths, 40% increase. On top of what I'm telling you about, the tens of thousands a week. The bills are drafted. The election campaigns are funded by big ag, big pharma, big tech. Don't you see? Both parties are under that pressure. Both parties have been guilty of insider trading with Wall Street. Nobody's gone to jail or been fined for it. And even if they were fined, the ethics committee in Congress, the fine is something like a couple of $100 for insider trading. Imagine that. Yet somebody like Martha Stewart, when she insider traded, they ended up sending her to jail for like a year or something. Do you understand that? The double standards? All right? Adam Schiff lied in Congress on national TV, was proven that he lied, and nothing was done because they have it, the game's rigged. If a congressman lies in Congress, they can't be prosecuted. Do you understand the absurdity of this? And you think something's going to change that law? Who's going to change that law? Congress is going to vote that? Why are all the people in Congress? They go in there as people and they come out as millionaires, right? Or live a whole life of lives of millionaires. Because the corporatocracy. People just don't see it, man. So you have to take care of yourself, and that's what I'm trying to say about being nice. And that's what I'm just trying to get across to you today. Is that it's doom and gloom, yes. It's game over, man. And you're saying, oh, man, well, that's horrible. What do you mean there's no hope? Well, there's hope for you to live your life and to be nice and to be happy and to try to make a life. And like I say, try to distance yourself as much as possible. Cut the cord from the media and stop watching these idiots on YouTube and Twitter that are just getting caught up in this back and forth banter and this hate, and divisiveness. Seek the truth, live the truth, eat healthy. Health and happiness is what it's about. And don't do things because you feel conditioned or pressured or the propaganda's got you or you're indoctrinated from a child. Break free of that. Excuse me, I've shown you things. Countless things, over 540 videos, live morning videos now, not to mention the thousands previous. I mean, what more can I do? What more can I say? Everything you know is wrong. You don't know what you don't know. Ignore the media. And the answer to everything they say is if someone says something, you go, then what? All right? And the fact is, it's game over. And they, who cares about them? And forget about the political circus. It doesn't matter. Don't waste your money giving money to political candidates. Don't waste your voice arguing back and forth and about something that you saw on a cable TV channel or some politician said. Use that money, use that time to plant a garden or, make love to someone, or be nice or do a good deed. You see what I mean? Just stop the nonsense. Wake up to reality. This is the end of life as we know it. It's the end of civilization as we know it. Western civilization has fallen. Whether or not we have a near catastrophic or a near extinction event, a catastrophic event that usually happens every 12,000 years or so, like clockwork, by the way. But whether or not that happens and we dodge a bullet and all this stuff going on in the solar system, which, like I say, I'm not going to get into astrophysics. But whether or not any of that stuff happens, clearly Western civilization has fallen, if you can't see that. The U.S. has fallen. None of the wars we were in, all the patriots' deaths were for naught. And yes, that should just like shake you to the core. All right? Because freedom was not preserved. Things have gotten progressively worse over the past 30 years. Arguably over the past 40 years, I would say. For the past 40 years, things have gotten progressively worse. But it's like it's increasing in speed. Put it that way. It's like things have got, in other words, we're speeding up. Things are getting worse faster. And now people are dying at an alarming rate. They're killing us off. They are killing us. So live out the life you have to the fullest before, they get to you. And if you think that's alarmist, you think that's doom and gloom, well, think whatever you want to.
Good morning.
But it is the way it is. Go to my site, ROCKFLUX.com. Listen to my beat poetry. Some of those songs will make sense to you. Get my 2 books and buy them in print. I have 10 books out there, but these 2 books are my most recent. Go to Great Solar Stuff and get some power backup because the grid's in really crappy shape. And if you go to ROCKFLUX, click on the link, go to my store, and get a couple of those shirts. Get the everything you know is wrong. You don't know what you don't know. Game over, then what? Come on, get them. All right? Look around. You know, check the accessories. There's stuff for men's, women, every size, and there's all kinds of things. You could even get stickers, for crying out loud. Support the site, but do it for yourself. You know, to make your life better and the people around you better. Anyway, good luck. Take care. Be happy and healthy, and be nice.